Summertime,
Howard,
summertime,
I
Jake.
feel it. I feel
Yeah,
it. You're not at the beach, but you look like you got your beach
I'm
garb
not at
on.
the beach. I'm outside on the deck, enjoying enjoying the weather. Yeah, I like your
You
shirt
guys,
as well. Like we got
you,
some
yeah, you're
colorful
showing a
shirts
lot of
going on.
skin.
Oh,
You got
okay. Ooh,
skin.
well,
This is a PG show, so I think you're really
it's a
showing.
comfortable show, Pete. It's a comfortable show.
Howard,
What's going
I
on?
want
What's the
I just want
latest
to
that
say,
you're exploring?
there's so many things. I want to say that as I'm running and I'm just being inundated by sales stack MarTech, that's just hit me up all the time. And I know that we've gone through thick and thin. Like it used to be that we would have a specific tool for each problem. And then we've gone through the days of thinness and thickness. I feel like
Yeah,
Oprah
like
Winfrey, fat, fat, thin, fat, thin, fat, thin.
right.
Um,
Lots of point solutions. Then there was a consolidation, and
End to
now I'm
end.
seeing a trend to get to. Oh, we just heard from our guest. He popped in there.
Hey,
and we have a special
A
guest
little
who's going to
preview,
talk
and we have a
about
special
tech.
guest who's going to talk about
sorry,
that.
sorry.
Talk
Did I
about tech.
interrupt something? Interrupting here.
No, not at
Well,
all.
you're
Not at all.
invited.
You're invited. Yeah.
So,
Welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome,
guys.
Ellie.
Nice to see you guys. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me, Jake, Howard. Yeah. How you guys doing?
we're doing so well. So, Ellie, I understand that you've got a little bit of MarTech experience, right? Like you used to work in the field and now you're an entrepreneur in the field. Is that right? Tell us about your background.
Yeah, give us a little bit of
Yeah.
tell us a little about yourself. We actually only recently connected a few months ago. Jake, is surprised here. We sometimes we each pull in guests that we don't know, kind of mix it up, so
Yeah.
that we can actually so we can learn and we can expand our minds and our audience minds. So yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me, Jake. Nice to meet you, and Howard, good to see you again. So about 12 years ago, just from an individual contributor side of things. I was in sales. I was there for 6.5 years in a low tech company, IoT manufacturing, and I led a pretty big book of business over there. And I figured that I wanted to start going into high tech. So sales, marketing background, going into basically a leadership role at an AI company. After I left there, being there for almost a decade, it was just a completely new world. And long story short, I became like a revenue leader and building out a few departments within the company. Had most of the sales under my department's belt, and of course that of my team. But I've lived and breathed sales. I love sales. I love bringing value to companies and people. I love connecting people. I love speaking to people and getting to know them, and and just bringing value to them without the buzzwords. So after a while, fatigued from middle management, I went back into an IC role, company called Deal Hub, great company. But a friend of mine, which led the GTM side of things, his name is Sebastian, he's my CRO today, and one of my best friends. So we just started schmoozing in the kitchen, started talking about different issues that we have, and it always came down to data. The issues with inconsistencies with data, whether it was in the CRM. I started off in the Smile and Dial days, 12, 13 years ago. Have Hoover's list of tens of thousands of people that you can call, and half of them are dead numbers. So half the time you're just wasting your time on resources. And then it just kind of fused. Something made sense where we made millions of dollars for these companies, and we really wanted to come to a place where we brought something valuable to the market. That really was close to our hearts. So we just started schmoozing in the kitchen, going back to that. Started speaking about enrichment solutions, saw that there was saturation in the market, started getting in touch with technologically inclined friends, developers, etc. Yeah, and
Nice.
just started going off like that. We found a CTO, head of Sentinel One department at a very big company I shall not name, and we ended up parting ways very shortly after that because he had a job and we were in it to win, and we said we couldn't do it. So long story short, we ended up
In it to
finding
win it, right? That's the key, right?
it's a long game. It's a
All
long
in.
game.
So,
Yeah.
Ellie, it sounds like you've moved from a sales point of view into an entrepreneurial role, right? That's the arc that we're hearing. And so, what are the things how long have you been doing this business as a Mr. Entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I've had a few small businesses, some successful and some miserably failed. But within the tech world of having my own tech company, it just started in, I believe, the September of 2024, we just started speaking about it. And
so recent.
of 2024, we actually opened the doors of the company. We came in with 0 product, but an idea for an AI SDR. I don't know if you know what an AI SDR solution is.
Oh yeah, we do. But tell us about it. Tell us, just again, me and Jake are familiar.
I don't know.
Tell us.
Rabbit hole and bore you with this stuff, but I can talk about this stuff all day long. I love it.
No, actually, but I love how you're. So I want to get right to the, like, you're talking a lot about but I'm going to poke. I want to poke right now. So my question is, here you are, you're a grown up, you're earning a good salary. And then you go say, I don't like good salaries. I want to go on my own. I'm like, okay, that's good. Are you married? Do you have kids?
I'm married. I have 3 kids. I'm 36 years old. Yeah.
11-year-old,
8-year-old.
I'm not looking for my friends, but I was just talking about, like, you've got drag points. I mean, I know because I'm at least 36 years old and I have at least 3 kids. So when you're an entrepreneur, I feel it's called drag points. It's like, so I want to hear about, are you willing to have your family eat popcorn and go all in? Is that what it takes to be an entrepreneur?
How does that work?
Nowadays?
Yeah, what
So
does that look like?
It was a leap of faith. I had just been, I just left the company. It was after October 7th. Everything was really fucked up, and I just did not want to be in Israel for the sake of my children coming out of COVID. And half of their life was in a bomb shelter or something else. And I just said, let's go to the States. We went there for 3 months. At that point, I said, I'm not going back to a traditional job. I cannot work for somebody else again. I need to build something of value. Sebastian called me up. He says, hey, my buddies, we're thinking about this, this, and this. Remember, we were talking about in the kitchen. That's where it started. Well, I'm starting to move on this. Do you want to come join me as CRO? I said, absolutely. Things didn't work out with that first company. And at that point, Toby, my wife, she's like, listen, if you don't do it now, you're never going to be able to do it. I made a lot of money. I had a great salary. Thank God I was able to put in savings and things like that. And just utilization of that has really kept us afloat, apart from my wife. Thank God for filling in the gaps. For a little while.
I want to go deeper here. I want to go deeper here because this is exactly everyone. I want to be my own boss here.
I think a lot of us in our professional stages thinks about this stuff. I know I think about it a lot.
How many months do I need to have?
Months, guys. It was really. I've always been an opportunist. So in the better sense, I hope so. I really wanted to do something that was outside of the realms of what I've been used to for so long. I said, I've learned and accrued so many skill sets throughout the years. I said, why am I not at least attempting? Because I know for certain, as I go, the old story is like, if I look back at my life and say, hey, what did I not do in my life? What are you missing out on? And it's all those things: spending more time with my kids, being more present, being more loving. But on the professional side of things, having a business, being self-reliant and stopping working like a dog for everybody else all the time. I said, there is a place, there is a value for that. For me personally,
are you able to do that? Be there for family, the kids, have that, and kick off a young company. We said to go all in. How do you balance all in and family?
Oh, I don't sleep, so there's that. But
that.
Yeah,
no sleep and a lot of coffee. Do you drink coffee?
I drink a lot of coffee. Yeah, but the thing that helps me is my family is actually the thing that really drives me. If my wife wasn't such a rock, I would not have the ability to do this. It's all about relationships, and that to me, I like the mental and emotional support surrounding you. Yeah. If you don't have that mechanism in place, you're fucked. You don't have it. It will not happen. And my children also, I tell them I'm building, I say, I'm so sorry I'm not present. They come into the room. I'm in the middle of the meeting. I'm just like, I'm in the middle of the meeting, guys. Come on. It's like, well, you're always in the meeting, Dad. So I leave the weekends and I really say, guys, I promise you this weekend, undivided attention for my wife as well. Set time during the day. And we don't do this all the time. She's also very busy, but we say, hey, let's sit down for 20 minutes and just talk crap. Let's just enjoy each other's presence. Let's have wine, for 30 minutes and go back to your work at the end. So, things like that. Really.
So we get the family dynamic, and you didn't talk about like the runway of how much you should stockpile in order to be able to do this. But I want to shift gears because we got to cover a whole bunch of things. We're talking about now, you've got a lot of partners. You've had in and outs of partners. Like there's a dynamic that you need to have. And how do you make sure that people are aligned and in the same, they've got the same runway, they've got the same commitment. Like on the one hand, you get together and you start off at a bar and a napkin. and then things get hairy and someone's got to make money and then they get a job offer. How do you keep things together? What are lessons have you learned from fragile partnerships that start as bromances and then turn into real business relationships? And how do you manage through all those transitions?
Right. That's a good point. Like you were saying, like you're able to do that for your own balance, but you do have co-founders. How does that work?
Yeah. Keep me kosher here and keep me, because I can go off on a tangent for every now and again. So basically my partner, Sebastian, him and I did quite well throughout our career. So we had a bit of savings that we were able to. That's number one. You need to have financial stability in some way, and not only a plan A, but also a plan B. Those funds guzzle quickly, etc. If you have investments somewhere else, you have your 401k that you might need to guzzle, God forbid, a mortgage that you might. So these are all things that we said to each other that we might need to do, right? And guzzle those accounts if in case. We had a bandwidth, and throughout certain times we did some consultancy, etc., in order to keep ourselves afloat, but we could not do that consistently and build a company. Really, the biggest thing was making sure you're doing the correct vetting process. I've hired a lot of people in my career, and one of the things that I've learned is that the soft skills, right, the grit and the attitude, that is the number one thing. As long as you, of course, you're somewhat, some critical thinking and intelligence does really go a long way paired with that. But if you have both of those items and you know what's in store, you have a plan A and plan B, that's really what we plan for. We did learn.
What's the most important thing you put in the partner prenup?
If we don't stop until we die. Yeah. I think that is by far the biggest thing for any entrepreneur. Is if it was easy, everyone would be doing it and everyone would be successful. 90% of startups and companies in general die within the first 3 years of doing business. So we knew that we can fail miserably, but me failing drove me to succeed, because I'm just like, I'm not just succeeding for the sake of grit. I want to be like, oh, the CEO, oh, he's amazing and this and that. It's like, no, I wanted to bring something valuable. I wanted to get money only after bringing something valuable, and being able to enjoy the fruits of our labor together, right? To look back, and we look back at the hardships, and we almost closed down the business like 30 times. We pivoted 4 or 5 times, right? And every single time, doors closed, new ones opened. This guy introduced us to this guy, and be like, 15 customers that want to talk to you right now, potentially down the line, 25% of them, 30% close. Cool, we got another runway. Oh, now this topples on top. Hey, one of our data providers just screwed us over. We're at 50% capacity. Now we have to bring on another one. And it was just the nonstop. What's also,
and the agility, right? You have to have the mental agility to handle all that as well.
We're scrappy as hell, and I'm not to pat ourselves too much on the back, because we're still not it, right? But I think we're doing pretty good for where we currently are. And
so so basically you're bootstrapped, right? That's what they call it. Are you looking for VC? Are VCs poking around? Are you out there after them? Because it sounds like this like gritty mentality, this all in attitude lends itself to also, like, we could just do it on our own. We're able to, right? You also said you have you and your partner have a bit of a financial cushion, kind of your own VCs, right? In that sense, you're investing in yourself and you're investing in your business.
But yeah, no, the VC route, I just didn't want to become a slave to my
right. You mentioned that
work again. Yeah. That's one of the biggest.
So you would compare the VC route, same thing as if you're an IC working at a company. You're just slaving away, and in your mind, it's slaving away towards someone else's goals.
Howard, and I'm sure Jake, how many companies have you been at where it's drive revenue at all costs, end up inflating the team, firing half of them because the TAM is not as big as you thought, you don't have product market fit even though you thought a few customers, so many things, and then it ends up becoming a rat race where I won't say who, but I've been through this a couple of times in my career where I've seen the founders consistently, they're coming into work, they could hardly breathe. You see them, they're living palpitations and living off of cortisol. So it's like, I don't want to do that. And I said, when I have to do that, it's when I'm there to scale the company, right? And we're in a healthier spot. We have healthy growth, trajectory where I can actually justify bringing in a VC, and that will be a partner rather than a sword over our heads. So that's one of the reasons why it's a tool. A VC is a very much necessary tool for a lot of companies, but the landscape has also greatly changed, as you would imagine.
Oh yeah, for
I have
sure.
a double-barreled question for you.
Let's
Firstly,
go.
as someone who's ready says, until we die, there's something, on the one hand, you have to have that personality. On the other hand, you have to have a reality of, maybe I don't have product market fit. Maybe it's not solvable, or maybe I'm not able to solve it. And maybe my family, my resources are better. Where do you put that out there? That's my first question. I'm going to come up with a follow-up question. How do I know how to be in, but market savvy? And how you talk about pivots, fine, we all pivots, but at one point you realize, and maybe thank God you don't have to deal with this because you're seeing success. What are the signs of, I made a mistake and I need to pivot or rethink?
It's a great question as well. So when we started
packaged together, right? It's a whole packaged question.
Right. So these pivots, they started off from a company called Midbound.ai. Okay. It was an auto prospecting solution. I put in a few examples from my closed won list, and I go search the entire TAM and bring you back with relevant people and companies. Great. It didn't work out. There was too much saturation, other players coming out, VC back. We said, fuck it. Kurt, is it okay if I?
It's okay. This is an adult show.
As much as possible, but if you really want
If he could show his chest,
it's
there,
whatever,
you can say those words.
Whenever you're comfortable. When they ask me when I upload.
Between that hair, I want to see the mug and dub. All right. So basically, we went from Intel, and then we went to Autolead after we met our second CTO, right, Leela. He was already building this out. An AI SDR, Jake, by the way, just for namesake, is an LLM. It basically researches the potential TAM by going online, by contact lists, databases, etc. Says, hey, your company needs to find these people, and it goes and automatically researches them, personalized messages and emails through LinkedIn, etc., and reaches out to those people and then book meetings for you. We wanted to book meetings and then charge based on booked meetings. Then, a few months later, by the way, which they were already working on, I'm sure, but we didn't know about that, is Agentforce from Salesforce, right? So these agents were basically giving outputs, based outputs, and charging on that. And they were the first ones to do that. So all these other players started coming out and popping out like pimples. Another saturation. We had to pivot. Until we realized that, listen, there was a subset of functionality for our AI SDR that was supposed to feed that LLM, which is website visitors. So 97% of people don't fill out website forms. And so that's a huge lot of potential that you're basically leaving up in the dust, right? So we said this is much easier to create and faster to market, and said, listen, we need to build out an MVP of something, because we will die with the current runway that we have. We're not getting traction from VCs who were originally pitching with a pitch deck and a lot of grit in the beginning, and we got rejected. First-time founders, who the fuck are you guys? So we ended up pivoting and building it out. Leela, our CTO, he built it out within a couple of months, and we started selling it. We started selling it before as soon as we decided that we were selling it, or building it, excuse me, we started selling it. We reached out to hundreds. And something that my CRO and I have is we have a vast network here in Israel and abroad. We've sold to companies, the Gongs, the Intuits of the world, the X.coms back when it was Twitter. And between us, we had generated hundreds of millions of dollars for these companies that we work for. So we had those connections in our back pocket and said, dude, come online. I want you to see what we're building. Tell me what you hate and what you love about it. We took all of those transcripts from hundreds and hundreds of conversations with our ICP. So we were doing some type of pre-product market fit and understanding our personas, what the real pains are, and then building based on that. Our V1, that was the biggest thing. It's like, people, hey, I love it, but I hate this, 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 and this. And then we got consensus from a large body of people. Once we said, hey, if we change this, would you want to come
to your audience, right?
And now every single demo, they're just like, let's sign up. The only thing I see an issue here is InfoSec putting the script on the site, but people are trying to get us in there, lobbying with people. So this is something that is truly valuable to them because, right, Howard, you've seen, right? Yeah. And I don't want to talk too much about it today, but we built on what people needed versus build it and they will come days. Those days are over, guys.
I think we heard this a lot from a lot of the operators on our podcast. You need to listen to hundreds, sometimes thousands of calls and conversations and really understand the problems that you're trying to solve and the value that you're trying to build for them. Doing that, Doing it at this early stage when you're pivoting, I think is key to your bootstrapping. It must be.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, it's the sound bites, right? So I don't know if you. So it top of the iceberg kind of head. Larger issues at the top, very high level. But then when you get down to the kishka, right, underneath that iceberg, you see that there's a bevy of issues that are not being discussed because people don't know how to do correct discovery. They're not asking the right questions. So when we started asking the questions going beyond that, we started drilling. We asked the same question a few times, got different responses each time, till we got to that one-liner where it was just like, and we heard it consistently. I hate this and I need this right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you built that.
All of these functions, exactly. We said, let's zero down on these, try to perfect this, which is everybody is so sick and tired of shitty data. It's shitty data.
I want to.
So once you solve, yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Well, I wanted to go, we didn't deal with the when to quit. We dealt with the success, so I like that. And then we went into the job to get done framework. Yeah. That's also okay. So we don't have to deal with every issue. I wanted to move to a personality, a celebrity personality discussion. But Howard, you probably want to do something much more.
Yeah, I wanted to just do a drill down a little bit, talk about, I know you didn't want to talk about it, but I do want to narrow down, like what you're working on is website reveal, and you frame it as data, essentially. Is that right? Yeah. And that's like what you focus on. I think a lot of people have a question of when they have data, whether it's, whether you're using ZoomInfo or Lucia or any of these data sources, it's what do you do with it, right? I can pay for the data, but what do I do with it to make it, like, the data doesn't make you successful, or doesn't mean you're going to close millions of dollars, or maybe it is. All right, I'd like to learn more about that. So you have two paths you can choose. You can either go my product question path, or you can go back to the entrepreneurial conversation.
No, I think it's good. I want to do this. I want to do this one. I want to use the data and what to do with it. And I don't want to have like a general. I want to have a specific move, because we all know about reveal of who's on my site. And R2B, we know Adam. We all know Adam, right? So let's talk a little bit about what part of our,
yeah, literally.
So what should we do, and why should we really take your offering, his offering, or any of the other thousands of players? Why should we take that seriously? What is the move that I'm going to see ROI? Because I'm going to get my RevOps person to wire whatever together. When am I going to see the ROI? What's the single most valuable move I can do?
Single most valuable move you can do is there's a number of things here, a number of things, depending on your marketing mix, depending on where where your company's at, the size of it, the industry, etc. But for namesake, data is not a silver bullet. It needs to be utilized, obviously, in the way that you see fit, but also what actually works. This is a new paradigm or new perspective of what people usually look at. Old school or current, but outbound, right, is about collecting a whole bunch of lead lists from Lucia or ZoomInfo, and blasting them with relevant information. Hey, I have a sales tech tool, so everyone in sales, they fit my ICP, so I'm just going to blast them. They've never heard about you. They don't know who you are. They don't trust you at all. Inbound, they're already 50 to 85% cooked by the time they come into your into your calendar. And at that point, they've already done their due diligence offline. You didn't know that they were there. We're midbound. We're not inbound. We're not outbound. We're midbound, where all of these things that happen in the middle of the funnel, they are there to indicate how you prioritize them. And now that we have the ability to ingest these signals, now we can see how to best make use of them. And there's many different ways. Account-based marketing solutions, where versus person-based marketing is. Person-based marketing is what ABM always wanted to be, but it couldn't. Or they didn't want to emerge into that because of GDPR issues, not being able to go global. This is very much centralized to US due to GDPR and right? The biggest thing is that you want to do is, first of all, when somebody comes to your website from Google, your team, marketing goes to an SDR. He says, hey, prospect this entire account. There's 300,000 people in the account, okay? How do I know? It's a needle in the biggest haystack this world has ever seen. So how are you going to find that person? You waste all that time and resources instead of working on high intent leads, blah, 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 blah. You waste all this money, right? And only to find out that it's an SDR or an analyst doing research on your website. They just fell on your website, right? They had no intention, no nothing. And now I'm telling you that this VP of sales is on your website and they left on the pricing page after spending 2 minutes there. Jake, I think it's kind of low-hanging fruit, right? That this makes most sense to reach out to this person. And that is the correct path. So
yeah, sounds like an Influ 2 move. Like it sounds like so I can know exactly who the person is, and rather than doing general retargeting, I can take that information and put my people together. So you're saying I know the exact person. Save my no one prospects 300,000 people in a company. Let's be real. No one does that. So just in terms of really something I should do right now is I should take your script, put it on my site, see the people who bounced and didn't convert, and then see if they meet my ICP and give them to my SDR.
Well, I would say
go prospect. I'll give you.
I would say that's a.
Just yet. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that's a. I would say you're creating just a segment, right? It's your website visitors who bounce are a segment. I wouldn't necessarily say, okay, I only want my outbound team focused on that. No, the outbound team is still going to get the research. We're still going to automate 75% of the flow to go after the directors or whatever, or you kind of create your priorities, and then you're going to say, give your BDRs and your AEs, here are the 10 people that you have to get on the phone, and they're still going to call those people manually, leave the rest to automated, whether you're using an automated voice SDR, and then pinpoint the people visiting and capture them when you can.
Huge caveat. Eli, this is the last caveat. You've got to give me something to do at the end of this because we're getting out of time and I need to know what I'm going to do when we turn off the mic.
So what you can do, just yesterday I made a post, okay, and I put proof online. Two of the last people that came into my website that we were able to de-anonymize, I reached out to them and now they're trialing. Okay, they did not sign up on my form. They did not sign up for a demo.
Well, they came from LinkedIn. They saw your post.
No, they didn't see my post. They went directly into my website. They liked the solution, but apparently not enough to submit a form. I picked up on them. I connected with them on LinkedIn from my platform and had a regular conversation. Be like, oh, that's so weird. We were just on your site. Oh, I guess that's what you guys do. You know what I mean? I just got this to my marketing person. We have 2 different websites. One's a subdomain. Can I use? And it was just one of the conversation. When would that ever happen? That doesn't happen. So obviously you just don't want to call somebody and say, hey, John, you're on my pricing page. You want to buy? There are obviously best practices. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. To give you a go away, Jake, okay, ICP visitors who come in, they even spend 1 second on your website. That's a lot more intent, or a signal, I should say, than somebody who doesn't know about your brand at all. Okay. When you reach out to them, it's personalization, it's relevance, it's timing. Just like everything else, there's somewhat of a contact sport. It's an art and a science, sales. And I saw your background, Jake. So the other side of that, non-ICP visitors, I would still reach out to them. A very well-known CRM solutions company in the real estate game that you may know. So they basically saw that there was an analyst from a cool company, but they would never reach out to an analyst ever. The head of operations who owns the CRM was doing an implementation of something else and put this analyst in charge of evaluating the product. They reached out to them. They're like, just prospect the account. And now they're in a cycle. So even if for this ABM motion, even if you said, hey, this is a prospect account, these are my likely ICPs, let's go and prospect those. You gather everybody in the economic buying field, stakeholder, all that fun stuff, only to find out that, voila, you know what? You would have never gone to that, right? They would have told you, hey, the analyst, go check, go to the analyst over here. Maybe, but this was a direct path that closed that time to that time to conversion, the time to close. That's to quantify that, how much have you shortened that cycle? So if you want to be objective, these are just a couple of the things that you would do. Evergreen campaign to anybody and anyone who comes to my website that doesn't specifically fit my ICP. Hardcore manual touch with your best reps on ICP visitors, using best practices and not being weird about it, right? That's the takeaway.
Well, I think we can really see your passion. You're from your sales background, your entrepreneurial spirit, your deep knowledge of this technology. It's really shining through, and It's been a really, really cool chatting with you about it.
Yeah.
There's so much we can talk. I know I'm always thinking, like, yes, employed in the not a grind, right? I don't want to say anything bad about, anyone who's working at companies, but I'm sure a lot of people have this idea of, yeah, maybe I should take that next step, open my own business. So it's really, really nice to hear that perspective, the bootstrap perspective. So really, thank you for sharing that.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Eli.
it.
Good luck, and I look forward to playing with the tool and seeing how I can make some money on it. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Eli.
Bye.
All right, you well.
Howard, what does this mean for us? Does this mean that we got to quit the day job and start our own business?
Quit the day job. You can see it's not so easy. You got to have a personal runway, right? I think a key part of that is, Eli is fortunate to have that personal financial runway, and thank God the family and the support for it. I think it's a key ingredient to create something, to have that drive, to have the people behind you. Not to say that you can't do without it, right? There's other elements talked about, the grit, the make it to the end until you can't move anymore, the mental agility to pivot as fast as you can to find those opportunities. All key ingredients, and it's good to hear a voice like that. In this podcast, B2B. Super interesting. I really like the tool. We've talked about these website reveal tools for a long time. I know when we back at our former companies, you kind of, we always were teetering on, like, do we want account based? Does it even matter to get a notification that so and so company is on our site? And then we went for advertising tools that told us specific people that we can that we can go to. And now the loop is closed with you can get the actual people and the information.
Yeah. So this is a segue. I probably don't want to go down this path, but we always had the skepticism about buying signals. And here's first buying signals. So I do think that is something real over there on our site. So I do think that is, of all the places, like all the data stories that I've heard, this has the most validity in my mind.
It has, and I think like any MarTech or sales tech, revenue tech solution that's out there, whether it's even call recordings, everything and anything in growth and demand, you just test it out. Just, does it work for you? True. Does it not work for you? And there's no playbook and something that works for every single company. Does it work for you? Does it work for your audience?
I know. We're gonna have to take that. We're gonna have to take that another time, because here that I don't like the general. I wanted to get, what should I do now? And the good news is he came with a specific, what should I do now? And I feel thirsty to do it. But we'll have to pick that up. There's so much to chat about. Thank you for bringing him to the podcast. I always learn.
Next surprise guest is on you. Next surprise guest is on
you. Howard, great seeing you.
Yeah, nice chatting. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, nice.